Hello. Have been working in Latin 1 on some sentences. And in one set of sentences that we worked with, sentences that contain nouns belonging to the first declension, we found out that first declension nouns functioning as a subject had A on the back of them, like Aurelia in sentence number 1. Or first declension nouns functioning as a subject that were plural had an AE on the back, like number 2, the girls. And we found out that if you wanted to make a first declension noun act like a direct object, a word that moves to the back of the sentence, that it's going to end in AM if it's singular, as Cornelium here, and if it's plural, the direct object is going to end in AS. And I'm looking for one right now, and I found one down in number 5. AS tells me to move Deos to the back of the sentence. It's a direct object. Now that's a lot to remember. And it would be nice if we could come up with a way that would help us organize this information. How can I organize these 4 endings in such a way as to allow me to access them readily and to know what's going on with them? Well, here's a suggestion. Well, I want you to do this. I'm going to get an index card, just a 3x5 index card. And I'm going to take my subject endings. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. Before I start doing anything, I'm going to write down some numbers on my index card. And I'm going to increase the magnification so you can get a better idea of what I'm doing here. That ought to work. All right. I'm going to write some numbers down on this card. And let me move my window out of the way here. All right. Here we go. I'm going to put a number 1 right here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to leave some space. Come over here and write 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just like that. I'm going to go back to my sentences that had first declension nouns in them, and I want to keep track of the fact that my subject endings in the first declension are going to have either an A on the back if it's singular or AE if it's plural. All right, so I'm going to take that bit of information right there, the A and the AE, and I'm going to transfer that information over to my card. A right here and AE right there in number 6. And I'm going to put them on the back of a first declension noun just to make things look a little better. Girl. And girl over here. So I'm simply storing the fact that my endings that tell me first declension subject are A and AE if they're plural, or AE if it's plural. I'm just storing that information next to numbers 1 and 6, just like that. And I'm going to come over here on this line and write subject. And that's just going to help me remember that A and AE are my subject endings in the first declension. Let me write first declension up here on the card. Just like that. All right. Now, similarly, I might want to organize my direct object endings. How can I keep track of the fact that AM and AS are my direct object endings? Well, don't ask why, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put AM down here on number 4, and I'm going to put AS down here on number 9. I'm going to put those direct object endings on the same line. And we're going to attach them to the word girl because it just looks better. I'm just going to put them on the back of a word. So it looks like these endings are going with something. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write DO for direct object. And all I've done here is I've organized the 4 endings, 1, 2, 3, 4, that I know in the first declension, my 2 subject endings and my 2 direct object endings. All I've done. Now, I'm going to draw some lines here to make this, as we say down here, nice looking. And because I'm not smart enough to have gotten a ruler to start with, I'm going to have to use a straight edge of another index card. I'm just going to draw some lines so I can make my chart here look like a series of boxes. There we go. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to join my lines up with some perpendiculars, just like this. And now it's starting to look more like a table or a chart. And this first declension table is just helping me keep track of my first declension endings. That's all that's going on here. And there we go, just like that. All right, if I had more time, I would probably draw some lines. Well, okay, I'm going to do it because this makes it look a whole lot better. I'm going to draw some lines, some laterals, from the Latin word latus, which means side. Latus lateris. I should say lateris. And it's starting to look like a table now. And because I'm an absolute perfectionist, appearances to the contrary, these are my first declension or blue nouns. So I'm going to put blue on my 4 endings and put blue on the outside of my box because that's just the way I am. You do it the way you want to do it. I use blue for first declension. And so there we go. I don't know. I may have made things kind of messy, but I like the way it looks right now. Now, question is, Mr. Darden, if you can do this for first declension nouns, can't you do it for, think about it, what did we work with last? Can't you do it with second declension nouns? We worked an exercise not long ago where I put some second declension nouns into a total of 10 sentences. I'm going to knock the magnification down somewhat so I can look at all of these at the same time with you. You probably remember this exercise. We didn't do it that long ago. When we did this exercise of second declension noun sentences, we found out, I got a box in my way. Let me close it out on my screen. There we go. We found out that in sentences with second declension nouns, nouns that in the dictionary have a US on them followed by an I, these are second declension nouns, that unlike the blue, second declension subjects don't use A and AE. They use US to indicate the subject singular and I to indicate the subject plural. And they also have, second declension nouns also have different endings for the direct objects. You have UM if the second declension noun is a direct object singular, and OS if it's a direct object plural. And we worked some sentences with those endings. You know, we identified the fact that, oh, I got a window on my screen. Let me stop for a second. We identified the fact that Wheelicus right here is the subject because it's got a US on the back of it, so that's my subject. It's going to go first in my English translation. And Servos has an OS on the back of it. I'm ready tonight. I have more than one pencil. OS tells me I'm a direct object in this family, so I'm going to move this word Servos to the back of the sentence before I translate. So this sentence will say the farm manager calls together the slaves, slaves is back here now, into the open area. And the same question might arise. Mr. Darden, I've got these 4 separate endings for the second declension. That's just a whole heck of a lot of stuff to remember. Is there any way we can organize these endings? Yes, here we go. I would take a second blank index card, write some numbers down. 1, 2, 3, quatuor, quinque. Oh, magnification's not right. Let me make the magnification right. So let me fix that for a second. And here we go. I'm going to make a card for the second declension like I sort of made for the first declension. Something similar to this card. So come on down here. I wrote my first 5 numbers, and I'm going to come over here and write 6, septime, octo, novem, decame. Here are your Latin numbers. Unus, duo, tres, quatuor, quinque, sex, septame, octo, novem, decame. Now, go back to my exercise for a minute. I recognize that my second declension subject endings are US and I. I put my subject endings on the blue card at the very top in spaces 1 and 6. So it stands to reason by analogy I'm going to put my subject endings for the second declension on that top line also. Second declension card. I'm going to put the US up here. I'm going to put the I over here with a little hat on it. This is the singular side of the card. The right-hand side is the plural side. There we go. I'm going to attach these two endings to a word so it looks better. Here's a second declension noun, A-M-I-C. Let me try that again. A-M-I-C-U-S, amicus. And I'm going to use the same word over here. A-M-I-C-I. And there are my two endings, U-S and I. I'm going to tell myself on the card these are my subject endings, singular and plural. I'm halfway there. What other endings do we know from the second declension based on our sentences? We know UM and we know OS are the direct object endings in the singular and plural respectively. So I'm going to organize these two endings now on my card. I'm going to come over. On my first declension card, my direct object line was the line that encompassed numbers 4 and 9. So I'm going to put my direct object endings for the second declension on numbers 4 and 9 over here. So I'm going to put UM right here, and I'm going to put OS off to the right here. Let me attach them to a word so it just looks better. I keep doing that. Let me put the I right here, and then let me put the C, work that in. I don't know what's wrong with me. Amicum, right there. Sorry about the messiness. A-M-I-C-U-M. And let me see if I can do this one right. A-M-I-C-O-S. Remarkable. I actually did it right the first time. And to make this card look a little bit, as we say down here, mo better, I'm going to get my straight edge card back out. And we're going to make this, I forgot to write what I'm looking at here in numbers 4 and 9. These are my direct object endings. So let me write D-O right there. Remember, I did that on my blue card. I put a D-O next to 4. These are just reference cards. These are just helping me remember what my endings are telling me. That's all. I got to move a box. That's why I had to move away from the cards for a minute. Let's draw some lines. Yay, line drawing time. Come over here. A ruler would be much better, but I don't have a ruler. So let's start by making a nice big old rectangle. Just like that. And come over here, and we're going to draw some lines over here. Did a bad job there. No, made that one too long, but what the heck. All right. Come down here, and let's draw some perpendiculars. Boom. It's looking more like a table every second. Draw some more perpendiculars. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And Mr. Darden, why don't we just fill the whole table in? To which I reply, not tonight, because it would freak you out if you saw all these endings at once, so I don't want to fill the table in tonight. We're just going to fill part of it in. Okay, there you go. Now, I pick a color for a second. I have picked a color for the second declension. This is not a Latin rule. This is a Mr. Darden convention or custom. I use orange to help me distinguish second declension nouns from first declension nouns, which I call blue. So second declension noun, it's always a good idea to write an example of what a second declension noun looks like on your card. A-M-I-C-U-S, comma, I, comma, M. This word happens to mean friend. By the way, you might be wondering, how do these endings change the meaning of this word, friend, if they change the meaning at all, to which I reply, in due course. We don't want to go there right now. We don't want to go there right now. So we'll leave that question open. I call US an orange ending, UM's an orange ending, so is I and OS, because they all belong to the second declension. And then I like to go color crazy, and I draw an orange outline around my box, just like that. And that's letting me know that I'm in the second declension world now, and in second declension world, I call it orange. Well, what we've done tonight is we've organized some endings that we've been using in our sentences. We organized the 4 subject and direct object endings of the blue or first declension. Let's put a representative noun down for it on the top of the card. This is a blue or first declension noun. That's what it looks like in the dictionary.